here. My room looks super foggy right now. I don't know if it's because the sky looks super foggy outside and there's fires and stuff, and it was raining ashes today, so that wasn't fun. I hope everyone is safe. But yeah, everything looks orange right now. So today I'm going to be reviewing the movie Malignant, Malignant. Gotcha. All right. Um, I understand now why the movie is called that. I thought it was malevolent for a long time. It's not that. I understand now why it's called that. This movie was not what I expected at all. I guess you expected me to say that, but it was not. Did I like it? I would give it a 3 out of 5 stars for just being a decent movie. I would give it like a zero point 0.5 stars for how the commercials led me to believe that it was going to be about something that it was not. And it wasn't just me. So this movie is made by, I think, the same directors or producers as The Conjuring, I think it was, or Insidious, one of the two, or maybe both. And Insidious, like, they're really good movies. One, two, and is there a three? No, I think there's like Insidious something else. But like, yeah, they're good movies, and even though they have like their moments, it's like good movies. And this, I was like, okay, if it's from the same people, I'm sure it's gonna be great. But there wasn't like a lot of hype with it. I just was seeing commercials on YouTube and like trailers and stuff that were like sneaking up on my social media, and so I was like, okay, it might be good, you know. Let me give it a chance. And so then I watched it the other day, and whoa, was I confused throughout the whole entire movie. And boy, was I confused about the whole concept until we reached a certain part where they explained literally everything. And then I was like, this is not a supernatural movie, but then it is a supernatural movie, but then it's not a supernatural movie. So, yeah. Basically, this story centers around uh, a lady named Madison, um, also known as Emily, but that was in her childhood. And basically, she the first scene, she comes into the house. She's pregnant. We meet her husband, who you can tell right away he's abusive, and he slams her head into a wall because he's mad that she keeps, I guess, straining herself when she's trying to have a baby and she's had too many miscarriages, and he's mad about that. So her head gets slammed into a wall. She's bleeding. You're left there like, what in. Oh, no! That's not how it opens up. Oh my goodness. There's a scene before that. Forgetting it. And that scene is very important. Why did I forget that? Alright. Basically, the movie starts off with there's this doctor. She's making a recording. It feels a little bit more paranormal activity kind of thing, but then also kind of not. And so she is kind of talking about this one subject named Emily, and how um like there's something connected. Like they don't like specify it, and they do this on purpose so you won't understand that the two are connected. She talks about this one you assume it's a human being named Gabriel, and that he I forget exactly what she says, but like something is going on and everything. It's clearly bad and everything. Then we cut to the scene where Gabriel escapes. They don't show Gabriel, and like basically people are getting killed. The lights are flickering and everything. You assume it's like a paranormal movie, and then the lady says, "You know what? We can't do this anymore. Like he needs to be stopped." I was trying to help him. They had dragged. They had stopped him, dragged the body and you couldn't tell if it was female or male, and they handcuffed it or like tied it to a chair and everything, and she's like, "We're going to cut out the cancer," and I was very confused. Then we cut to and then there's this all these like beginning like credits and like stuff, and like they're introducing the movie, and it's like boom 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 all over the place, intense music and stuff. So yeah, that happened. Then cut to the next scene, and she goes to sleep that night, and that night the husband goes through what we assume is some paranormal activity, and this thing comes and it kills him. It has very long hair. It's dark. It like moves like something like out of this world and crawls on the ceiling and stuff. And then Madison ends up seeing it because she hears the commotion, and like apparently like it slams the door and she collapses, and like she wakes up in the hospital. Um, Before that, we go to where the cops are kind of like looking around and everything, and they say that like this thing was doesn't seem human. Like what happened? Like this can't be. Like nobody should die like this. Nobody could die like this, and all this stuff, and like all the things, you know. And then we are at the hospital. We found out that she lost the baby. Her sister's there. We find out she has a sister. She hasn't seen her sister in a long time because the husband didn't allow her to see the husband. Didn't allow her to see the sister. And yeah, she kind of goes like in her own state of mind and everything, and she doesn't want to like associate with people and everything. Then 2 weeks later, we fast forward 2 weeks later, and then we see her in the car with her sister, and she's going home, and she's there that night. Like similar events to what happened that night, whether her husband was killed, occurs. Like the lights start flickering and stuff and everything. She sees like the door open, and she like sees like the figure and everything, and so she like tries to protect herself and everything. The sister ends up staying with her, and she tells the sister kind of what's going on and stuff and everything. And then no, she doesn't tell the sister what's going on. She tells the sister what's going on after, when we cut to a scene where there is this lady working like in underneath Seattle. This movie takes place in Seattle, and it was like the underground city before the new city was built on top, and she does like tours and stuff and everything. And this thing, which we still don't see really, uh, basically like takes her, and then she wakes up, and this thing is like moving and stuff, and like you can tell like it's during daytime and everything. You can tell like this thing is human, or it looks human, and it looks just like someone who like kidnapped her, and it just kind of was like, this is a little weird. So I at that moment I'm just kind of like, I don't understand this movie. I don't know what's going on, because we're not in the supernatural realm anymore, but we still kind of are. So I'm like, huh? Like I don't know. Then we go to then the thing says, oh, he talks to like, and then they show this in like the beginning scene when like they were at the hospital, that the thing talks through like radios and sounds and stuff. And so then he says basically like that he's going to contact, and we can tell it's male, that he's going to contact like Dr. Weaver, and we learn later that Dr. Weaver is like the lady that was in the video in the beginning and worked on him, I guess. And then he goes to her house. He goes to kill her. Emily, see, Madison sees that like she gets images. I guess at this point, the room starts changing. I don't know how that really happens, but like I guess it's just like in her brain. Uh, well, at this point, when I was watching it, I didn't know how it happened, but later on, like once I thought about it, I was like, okay, that makes sense. But even then, it just kind of like there's ways that things were done in this movie where I'm like, I don't know how okay, you know. Um, so basically, yeah, the room starts changing. She's getting this vision of the lady being killed. She tells her sister. The lady is shows up on the news and everything. The cops go. They're basically saying the same thing, like what happened and this and that. The guy gives a picture that he finds in the lady's like books and stuff from her records from back in the day uh, of a little girl, and he gives it to one of his coworkers, I guess, and he ages the picture very well, I will say, and it looks just like her. The um the sister and the girl had just went and explained that she was seeing visions. They basically said like they're not gonna help her or whatever, um, and Emily in the bathroom, she like had a phone call with Gabriel, the thing is called, and it was like staticky and everything, and she like kind of was like she remembered that he used to call her Emily, and that his name is Gabriel, but like that's it. And so they leave. That's when the guy gets like the result, and he's like, oh my goodness, it's her, you know. And then they go to the house, and then they have some like psychic type of lady like transport her to her past unconsciously, and then we find out that not everything at this point. We find out that Gabriel like used to talk to her when she was little. Some point, I think after she goes to the police station, she goes with her mom, and she also finds out that like there's video of her talking to Gabriel and stuff, and like saying things, and the mom was like, yeah, you used to talk to him, and he like used to have like the worst conversations and stuff, and so that's basically what happens, and we see scenes from her childhood. And then this thing keeps killing the doctors that were working there. She keeps having visions. The cop ends up kind of facing this thing, and then it ultimately results in the lady who is captured in the underground. She escapes, but she falls through the floor, and when she falls through the floor, she falls to the floor of the woman's house, Madison's house. So she was in the attic the whole time, and then they blame her ultimately. So she ends up going to jail. Um, and her sister's like, no, you can't do this and everything. So she goes to find the truth. She goes either to the hospital or to, I think it's the hospital, or to the adoption agency, because obviously she's adopted, and she let her sister know that and everything, but she told her she doesn't remember anything from her past and everything. So in her dream um, vision remembrance thing, that when she was doing it with like the psychic and everything, she also saw that like Gabriel wanted to kill the baby, and once like the baby was born, the baby was her sister, her adopted sister, then uh, she would like obviously pay attention more to her, because he wouldn't like his influence wouldn't be as there anymore, because like she would be paying attention with her sister, being with her sister, it'd be another influence kind of thing. Um, and then so she's in the cell with all these ladies and stuff that are criminals, and then the sister goes, she finds videos and she finds documents and this, and they go home and they watch the video, and then we have the big reveal that the mom was 15 years old, she was raped, and the baby, they were supposed to be twins, but they're not, so they were born kind of conjoined, but the twin, that was the boy, ended up being like this tumor type thing uh, that ended up having like being sort of like a symbiote kind of thing, and a parasite, and is linked to her brain, and apparently possesses the magical abilities to talk through energy, and has the strength of a million men. So don't know how that happened. Okay, all right. And then her whole life has been like changing, like her reality, her perception of reality and everything, which that I understood, and it makes sense, but it was like they try to make it look kind of like ooh, otherworldly. And it's like, this thing could be explained in a different way because we are stretching it to make it something supernatural when it's not, and it's kind of confusing. And then as she's in the cell, nighttime falls when this thing comes out, and like obviously she's like upset and everything. And then every single time after she has a vision, like the back of her head's bleeding again, the back of her head's bleeding again. And so then while she's in the cell, the back of her head opens up and a face comes out of her skull. And that's her brother Gabriel. The thing that's not her brother, but like the parasite that they address it as, because they don't address it as her brother, but it's her brother. And then her body twists around, and then her back is now her front, and just her plain face right there. And he kills all the women with his strength and claws and supernatural abilities and fast reflexes that is like a vampire. And I'm just like, I'm so confused, but okay. And then goes and gets his cloak, or his, I guess his giant, yeah, it's a kind of like a cloak, like trench coat kind of thing, and that he loves so much, and he puts on his gloves. And then so now we know why the thing has hair, because it's Emily's hair. And so the trench coat, he puts it on backwards and he covers it up so you can cover up her face. And that is what happens. And so when her sister and her mom are, because she goes to her mom's house, are watching these movies, they see Gabriel and with his little hands and everything. And it looks like a skeleton type thing in the back of her head. And he's like controlling her and like influencing her and all this stuff. And yeah. And so finally everyone's like, oh, this is what's happening and everything. And Gabriel kills everyone of the police force and everything. He goes to the hospital to basically kill the mom, because did I mention that that's the mom? Yeah, that's the mom. And basically they told Madison's adoptive mom that the mother had died in childbirth. They didn't tell her that she was so young, or maybe they did, I don't know. And basically the mom like didn't have the support, and so that's why she gave up her babies. And at the same time she saw that her baby was not right, so she called it an abomination. She gave it up, and there we go. Everything makes sense now. And so then the sister ends up at the hospital. The thing is gonna kill the sister, but obviously he was gonna kill her anyway. And then he wants to kill the mom too. And then the sister ends up talking to Madison. Is like, "Can you hear me?" And then basically she tells her like, wake up, and this happened, and he was sucking the life out of your babies and getting energy and like all this stuff. And then Madison wakes up, but she like first like makes Gabriel like imagine that he killed the sister and the mom. And then she mentally imprisons him, shows him that that's not true. And Gabriel gets sucked back into the head. Oh, I missed a part. This makes it all make sense too. In the videos, they also showed that they decided to cut Gabriel off of her, but they put the remnants in her skull. They squished it into her skull. My phone is about to die. And so that's why he's still present and around and stuff. And so that's why this thing is coming out of her skull, and it's a face, and it's creepy, and it's like, what? And it has like teeth here and just one eyeball, and I don't know. And so yeah, she mentally imprisons him. He's like, I'm gonna get out again, and she's like, I know, but I'll be ready. And then she goes and she lifts the bed off her sister. She's like, it was always my body. And I'm like, I still don't understand how this thing has supernatural strength. And that's the end of the movie. They're hugging and stuff, and the mom is like smiling down at them and like happy that her daughter like is okay and everything. And then before, like when Gabriel is like about to kill her, but ends up like going to the sister and said she apologizes to him. She says, "I shouldn't have done that. You were my son, and this and that." We don't know what happens with the mother. We don't know what happens with the cop who got stabbed. Um, yeah, he got stabbed outside the door. Uh, we don't know what happens with everything else if she gets imprisoned. I don't know. That's where it ends. So yeah, that's the movie. Um, I did like it because it was different and it was interesting and it wasn't one of those like we tried so hard uh to do something and it ended up being something that it wasn't and it ended up being kind of good kind of thing. um I appreciate the attempt and I think that's also why I like it. It wasn't too bad, like, but it wasn't too good either. But in like all the other movies I've seen that try something so crazy, I think it was the least, not the least craziest, but like the most well done of them. But as a supernatural movie, not no. Um, I just I just don't see how it's a supernatural movie, and I don't understand, and that part still confuses me. So yeah, and then there's a little bit of inconsistencies too. I think they tried a little too hard with the spooky music and stuff. That was a little much for me. It made it almost funny. Uh, I watched it again with my sister because I was like, "You gotta watch this," and she assumed it was gonna be a supernatural movie too, and I was just like, "Just watch it. We're gonna watch it together." And so I was able to watch it yesterday with her again and kind of like look at things through new eyes and like see different things over again, and that way I'm really able to make this review I think the best I possibly can. Um, but yeah, she was thoroughly confused too. She was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yep, yep." Like, there's nothing more I can say. It was just like, yeah, uh huh. So, not a bad movie, not a great movie. That's just my opinion. You might think differently, but I recommend that you give it a watch because it's interesting and not what you would expect. And even me saying or describing it to you, I think just watching it, that reaction is going to be very genuine and different than what you might expect, how you would react based on what I'm saying. So, yeah. I think that's all I have to say about it. Uh I don't know how I would or what I would have liked more from it other than the fact that I just wish I knew what it was going into it, but then that surprise was kind of interesting. So, yeah. Okay, that's it. Highly suggest you watch it and would love to know your perceptions on it because I feel like mine are before I was just still thinking about it a lot, but mine are pretty concrete on it now. It's just like, yeah, that's what I think. But it's still like unbelievable. It's just like, okay then. Okay. All right. The noise you hear in the background, you will find out very soon what that noise is. All right, if you can hear it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all real soon. Bye.